Welcome, I'm Eric Myers of Myers Mushrooms. Today I'm going to be talking about impulse sealers for mushroom cultivation to seal your bags in your lab. So I'm going to be talking about the different designs and features. I have a couple different models here, and then I'm going to talk about common repairs that have to be done to them. So the first kind of impulse sealer you're probably going to be looking at buying if you're getting into the hobby would be a hand-operated sealer. This one is a magnetic hold, which is a lot more, probably about 3 or 4 times more expensive than a standard hand-operated one. Typically a hand-operated one, you're going to hold it down and kind of stand there, let the impulse sealer melt the plastic, let it cool for a couple seconds, and then let go. Okay, so you're sitting there and holding it the whole time, which is fine if you're on a small scale. If you're only making a couple bags a week, no big deal. Some of the features you're looking for in a sealer like this is you want to have at least a 16-inch seal. And the reason for that is the bags, the XLS bags, are 5 by 10. So this is going to be 15 inches, so you want to have at least a 16-inch or larger sealer, so that way you can straight seal it. Now straight sealing is when you grab just 2 sides and go straight. The other way to do it is gusset sealing, and that's where you fold it back like how it was and then you seal it. But the downside of that is you're going to have, and the gusset, it's like a lunch bag if you're not familiar, if you're getting into the hobby. The gussets are kind of like a paper lunch bag, how the sides go in and then back out again. The issue with that is you end up having 3 plies of plastic to seal through, and especially those inner plies don't like to seal together. So by doing straight sealing, it relieves all that. You're only going through 2 plies, makes it a lot easier. So you want to have at least a 16-inch, that way you have the availability of running the XLS bags. You could get a shorter one if you're only doing, like, say 10T or the 3T bags, which are only like this wide. But I'd recommend highly to get at least a 16 or an 18-inch sealer. Another feature you're going to be looking for is the thickness of the element. So for whatever reason, this is in inches, but that's in millimeters. So this one is a 5 millimeter seal. So the metal band in there that actually melts the plastic, that actually makes that band, is 5 millimeters. This is a 10 millimeter. The 5 millimeter is like 10 times better than the 2 or 3 millimeter ones. I know it's only twice as much of a seal, but it's way more effective at melting the plastic and getting it sealed up. So the hand-operated manual ones are good. You can probably get them for anywhere from $20 to $50. When you get into the magnetic hold, these are around $250 to almost $300. The main advantage of the magnetic hold is that when you press the button down, it'll hold, and there's an electromagnet up here and then a plate, and it'll hold so you can take your hands off of it and go spawn the next bag, as this one is sealing and congealing, which is heating it up, melting it, and then letting it cool, and then when it's done, it just pops it open and you pull it off. So it's a time saver to have that magnetic hold. So that's pretty much it for these ones. Other than that, you're going to replace the silicone here, and then you're also going to replace this band here every couple months or weeks. It depends how much you're using it, really. The next step up from there is going to be the automatic one, double jaw. This one has an element on both sides. This is an 18-inch, so it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. And it's a 10 millimeter seal, so it gives you a nice big seal. It's foot operated, so that's another advantage, to where it has the pedal that you step on. Normally it's on the ground, but so you can have both hands up here, line it up perfect, and then step on the pedal. Whereas with this one, you get both hands on it, and then you got to let go of it. Sometimes the bag might shift, things like that. This is around $700, $800 almost, but well worth it. I mean, if you have a big commercial operation, you're gonna want to consider getting a serious kind of sealer to get a good reliable seal. You can see I built this stand really simple. It's a pipe with the plate, and then it just bolts to the bottom. One feature that I'm going to add to this is another cover plate of thinner metal, so that way the bags can slide up a little bit better, because right now you have to pick the bags up and then put them on. So if I could just build a plate, have it kind of ramp up, you could just push it on rather than having to pick it up and move it. It just saves a little bit of time, a little more fluid motion. So for the features on both of these, they all have congealing and sealing. So this is your heat setting. Sometimes less is more. So don't always crank it all the way up if it's not sealing right. Sometimes you got to turn it down. My settings on this are 7 and 4.5, but actually it looked like I was running it around 5. So I think that number might be out of date. The recycle feature that's on this one, don't worry about that. That's an automatic recycle. Like if you're in a factory like sealing bags like this, every 2 seconds you can do that, but we're not using that feature. This one I haven't really had any issues with yet. I haven't really used that. I've only done like maybe 300 bags with it. It's not till you get up there in the cycles that you'll run into issues. But I can tell you that these ones, the magnetic hold, a very, very, very common issue is this switch. And actually this one might be, no, it's good. That switch, that little micro switch, which is switched by that screw always backs off after a couple hundred or a couple thousand bags. So if your sealer is no longer sealing, if you're having to slam it to try to get that switch to go, stop slamming it, take the 4 screws out that are on the foot pads, back off that lock nut, and adjust it to where just as that plate comes in contact with the electromagnet, you hear a click. So, and then use a little Loctite or nail polish or even like a paint pen to kind of mark it and set it in spot so it won't come loose again. Whenever you're buying these, make sure you buy almost any website you're buying these from will give you the option of getting the replacement covers, the Teflon and the Element. They go out. It's pretty common that they don't necessarily go out, but they kind of wear down to where they're no longer sealing properly. So you definitely want to have them on hand. Some of the websites, Doug Care Equipment, Amazon, and those are the 2 primary places that I buy my sealers from. Doug Care Equipment has a lot more of the parts. They're actually like a vendor of these, so you can buy just the repair kits from them. Yeah. So the other type, there's a band sealer, a continuous band sealer. I don't have one. That one it's about yay big, and it has a conveyor belt, and you kind of feed it in some rollers at the top, and then it seals it. The reason why I don't like that is a lot of times I'm working by myself, or I want to be able to work by myself and efficiently. And if you put it in a sealer here, well, now you got to go 4 feet over there to get it out of the sealer. So I'm moving around a lot more. Whereas with this one, I can set up my spawn right here, my thing right there, my mixer right there, and my rack right behind me. And I'm not even moving my feet. I'm just like rotating throughout the whole motion. So yeah, that's all I have for the Imuplse sealers. Hopefully this video will help you out in buying one. If you're just starting out, the manual ones are fine. If you're looking at doing more of a commercial setup where you're running 50 to 100 plus bags a week, you really should consider having the magnetic hold. On that note, you should also have a backup. So the best backup is a good old zip tie. You just bundle it up, take it, and just crank down a zip tie. Because sometimes you'll have bags that don't want to seal, they're dirty, they're just giving you trouble. And instead of trying to keep sealing it over and over and wasting your time, just zip tie it shut and call it a day. You'll lose a little bit of airspace because it crunches up the top part, so you won't have as much room to shake, but it works. And it gets the bag out of the way and lets you move on to the next bag. So hopefully you like this. Check the links below. I'll put the links for these products. And make sure you check out my Patreon, Myers Mushrooms Patreon, support my channel, and shop online at myersmushrooms.com for mushroom bags and growing equipment. Take it easy, have a good one, keep on mushrooming.